70 to 80% of the corpus of Islamic law is held in common by all the schools of jurisprudence. And there's a primary reason for that, and that is the concept of ijma, which is consensus, is held in very great esteem in Islamic theology and law. Consensus is the idea that when scholars agree on a matter, then it is considered settled. And actually, one of the primary ways in which a matter is considered to be off limits for discussion, considered to be a settled principle that is not in the future to be questioned, is because of the consensus. Because Muhammad, in a very famous hadith, he said, "My community will not agree on an error. My community will not agree on an error." Consequently, when the major scholars and the major schools of jurisprudence agree on something, then it is considered to be not subject to reopening for discussion. At least this is the traditional understanding of how these things have gone. And in any case, what we need to know about Islamic jurisprudence comes in to a very great degree at this point, because one of the major things upon which there is a tremendous consensus among the schools of jurisprudence is the Islamic doctrine, theology, and legal superstructure governing the concept of jihad. Jihad in Arabic means struggle, and there are as many jihads in Islam and among Arabic speakers, Christian and Muslim, as there are struggles in English. And so, you know, you can struggle to quit smoking, or you can struggle to lose weight, or you can have the great titanic struggle of civilizations of the Cold War against communism and between communism and the free world. And it's all the same word, it's the same struggle. And so it is in Arabic. The Islamic Republic of Iran, for example, has a Department of Agricultural Jihad. And that doesn't have anything to do with like blowing something up on the farm. It has to do with trying to increase crop yields. That's all it is. And there are Christian Arabs as well as Muslims who take the name jihad because jihad, one of jihad's most important meanings is the spiritual struggle, the struggle within the soul to better oneself, to conform one's life to the will of God, and so on. And so, yeah, I actually know personally a Christian Arab whose given name is Jihad, and he's had a little bit of trouble with that since 9/11, and now he goes by George. That is perhaps an unfortunate byproduct of the times that we live in. But on the other hand, it is to a certain degree understandable that the name that he has, that he was given, would arouse suspicion among certain people because of one of the primary meanings of jihad. Now, as far as Islamic jurisprudence goes, I thought the best way to introduce you to these things would be simply to take them straight from the source. And so I brought with me a manual of Islamic law from the Shafi'i school of Islamic jurisprudence, which is centered in Cairo, and which is common in actually in Southeast Asia as well as in Egypt, and also in East Africa and Yemen, some parts of India as well. And the Shafi'i school of Islamic jurisprudence has a particular status among the schools of Islamic jurisprudence because Ash-Shafi'i, Muhammad Ash-Shafi'i, the founder of the Shafi'i school, is known as the father of Islamic jurisprudence. Because he was the teacher of some of the others who founded their own schools ultimately. This is not, as I say, I want to emphasize, these were not different sects and they weren't warring with one another. They're different perspectives on various aspects, various disputed questions. But a Muslim who belongs to one or the other, or a mosque that is oriented from one of the schools or another, is not going to reject people who come from another school, and a Muslim may pass from one to another, or may learn from an imam from one school of jurisprudence and go to another from another school, and this is no problem. It's not some kind of there's not a bitterness or anger. There's just a difference of perspective among these schools. And in any case, Al-Azhar University, which is the most prestigious and influential authority in Sunni Islam. There is no central authority, there's no Pope of Islam or something like that, but Al-Azhar University in Cairo has a tremendous influence, and it is the center of the Shafi'i school. Al-Azhar, I wanted to emphasize to you, certifies that this book that I had with me of Islamic law, which is Umdat al-Salik, or in English, Reliance of the Traveler, a Shafi'i manual of Islamic law, certified in 1991 by Al-Azhar as we certify that the above-mentioned translation, this translation corresponds to the Arabic original, and so I am going to give this talk in English, but Al-Azhar certifies that the translation is okay, and conforms to the practice and faith of the Orthodox Sunni community. And so we have a certification from Al-Azhar that the explanations of Islam, and particularly of Jihad that I'm going to be discussing in the next few minutes, are reliable. They conform to the practice and faith of the Orthodox Sunni community, which is about 85 to 90% of Muslims worldwide. Now, Jihad, according to this, one of the primary meanings is this. Jihad means to war against non-Muslims, and etymologically is derived from the word mujahada, signifying warfare to establish the religion. Warfare to establish the religion. Now, the warfare in question is not warfare to convert people forcibly to Islam. Forced conversion is forbidden in Islam, and there is no jihad to force people to become Muslim. When it says jihad is warfare to establish the religion, they're talking about the complex aggregate of Sharia, of Islamic law, which, as I told you, covers every aspect of human life, including the governing of the political order. That is what the objective is of the jihad warfare, to establish Islam as a political system over the world at large. And this is founded in the Quran. According to this, it says, quotes the Quran several places, fighting is prescribed for you, though you may dislike it. Chapter 2, slay them wherever you find them. Chapter 489, 95, 2191, fight the idolaters utterly, fight them until religion is all for Allah, and so on. Now, the object of the fighting is made clear in this commentary on the Quran that I have here. The Quran, of course, is the ultimate authority, and I have a very helpful edition here with annotations from a very influential Pakistani Islamic scholar, Sayyid Abu Allah Maududi, who died in 1979. He was the founder of the Islamic Party, which is still the largest Islamist party in Pakistan, and he is a foremost Islamic theorist. Really, you can go to any Islamic bookstore in the United States, and I guarantee you they will have Maududi's commentary on the Quran and various other of his writings. And you can go to IslamicBookstore.com or Islamicity.com and get them. Very influential individual. And he explains, in regard to the Quran verse, chapter 9, verse 29, which is extraordinarily important. It says that, fight against those who do not believe in Allah in the last day, and do not forbid what Allah and His Messenger have forbidden, even if they are of the people of the book, which is the Quran's term for Jews and Christians primarily, as well as some other groups, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. The jizya is a tax that historically was levied upon non-Muslims within the Islamic State, and they have to pay this tax, the verse says, with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. And his comment on this, in this very helpful edition of the Quran, Maududi says this: the purpose for which the Muslims are required to fight is not, as one might think, to compel the unbelievers into embracing Islam. Rather, its purpose is to put an end to the suzerainty of the unbelievers, so that the latter are unable to rule over people. The authority to rule should only be vested in those who follow the true faith, that is Islam. Unbelievers who do not follow this true faith should live in a state of subordination. And in Maududi's larger commentary, multi-volume commentary towards understanding the Quran, he says in commentary on the same verse, he says, non-Muslims have absolutely no right to wield the reins of power in any part of God's earth. Non-Muslims have absolutely no right to wield the reins of power, that is political power, in any part of God's earth, and if they do, the believers are under the obligation to dislodge them from that power by any means possible. And so this is the program that is being carried out. Now the objective of it then is to establish the Islamic polity.